Hello and welcome to another Tyrrell's Classic Workshop. This time round we're doing a workshop catch-up with some jobs that have been progressing and that we've been looking as we go along, and this is one of them, the fiberglass bodied Ferrari 308 GTB. It was in a bit of a sorry state. The chassis was severely rusted, as were these A-pillars, and basically between them they hold the car together, the two halves together, so a little bit scary. But we've now finished this. It's ready to go away to be painted. James has fabricated these A-posts from sheet metal and he's done a lovely job. And also inside, the chassis rails have been replaced and welded, and he's now fabricated new sills for it and they've all been welded in place. So this is ready to go off to be painted and brought back to its former glory. And also, the owner's going to get it back safe in the knowledge that it isn't going to break in half, which is always mildly reassuring. Anyway, so we've done what we can with that one for the moment. We'll now have a look at another welding project which has been going on in our bay in the corner. Well, here we have another victim. This is a Lamborghini Miura, and no workshop catch-up video would be complete without a Miura in it. This is a very late car. This is one of the 90 last Miura SVs made with the what's called the split sump, separate engine and gearbox oil feed systems. And this one has been quite rusty underneath, as they can be. James has actually fabricated and put in place a new front floor for this, but there's also a lot of impact damage and wear and tear been going on around the back end here. And he's going to start welding and fabricating that. And it's on the rotisserie here, so we can get at it. As I say, the underneath at the front is finished. He's taken the complete skin off that and made a new one. And also the floor has been repaired as well, as have the vents underneath. So it's all in good shape. Now we're just starting on the other bits of the chassis. There are some pretty horrendous repairs on this, which have happened over the years, to things like these tubes that support the rear clam. This is the pivot for the whole rear lid. It sort of hangs on this very thin framework. So we're going to restore that to its former integrity, if I can use that word, with so tenuous an arrangement. Yeah, we'll keep chuntering on with this one. Well, this is another interesting car. A Jensen, or Jensen, depending on how accurately you want to pronounce it, FF, Ferguson Formula. The first ever production four-wheel drive car with anti-lock brakes in 1968. An amazing technical achievement. So we're going to be fixing this car up and doing some work on it. And again, this is going to be the subject of a future video. Very interesting car. This particular car has a very interesting history. So we're going to be touching on that too. Quite a technically complicated car, this, but hopefully we can get it sorted. Well, this car is a bit of my history, and I'm absolutely delighted that it's here. This car was one of the first cars that I started looking after when I started my first classic car restoration and servicing business in 1984, Tyrrell Engineering. And this car started coming to me in 1985, so I've been looking after it for 37 years if my mental arithmetic is correct. And it was a gentleman who bought this car second-hand. He was the second owner in 1977, and he came to me in 1985, and I started looking after it for him. So I'm lot of sentimental attachment to this car. It's very original, 1973 Ferrari Dino, or Dino 246 GT, depending on how snobbish you're feeling. But the car's done a genuine 42,000 miles, and it hasn't been used for some years because unfortunately the owner passed away and his family have inherited it. The car has now changed hands, and the new owner has very wonderfully commissioned us to do the mechanical recommissioning and full restoration, which is just an absolute joy. It's so personal. and so lovely for me to get this job 36 years on after I started working on this car and looking after it. So we'll be monitoring the progress of this as we go. As I say, it's a very original car. The interior is all original, which is highly unusual for a Dino. Leather was a factory option on them. This has got it, still got its original leather seats from 1973. So yeah, we're going to be charting the progress of this, but just a lovely part of my personal history, which I'm delighted to be going to be able to share. Well, again, another interesting car, which I've always quietly liked these cars, actually, a Citroën SM. And this car has got quite a lot of fame around it of late. It was owned by Mike Brewer, who had a lot of restoration work done on it. And it's now changed hands. But in the meantime, the Grand Tour team have also featured this car in their, what's it called? Carnage à Trois, I think, episode, which is coming out on the 16th of December. It's this car that's in the episode. I've no idea what they do with it. Hopefully they don't dip it in the English Channel and then pull it out again, but you never know. But it seems to have survived in one piece. And again, we're going to be working on this car, topping and tailing it. Craig's going to be retrimming the beautiful original factory leather interior, which is such a stunning aspect of these cars. But there's lots to delve into on this car. So I'm going to be doing a video about this, a dedicated video, at some point in the near future. Well, this is another job that I'm delighted we've just had come in. It's a Lamborghini Islero from 1968. This particular car is very rare as well, but the Islero is a rare model as it is. So again, this is a lovely job to get in. We're really looking forward to getting stuck into this, and there'll be updates of that as we go along. Now, through the miracles of modern technology, I know this is almost unbelievable, but here we have the Ferrari 308 that had the chassis work done and was ready to go away at the painters, and hey presto, 10 minutes later, here it is painted. Never let it be said we don't do things in a hurry here. So it's come back from the paint shop. Ryan's done a fantastic job of painting this car. It's looking super, super good. All the chassis has been repaired. It's been beautifully done in all the bits you can't see as well as the bits you can. And yeah, the car is actually not going to break in half. So all good. So again, we'll just see this as it goes back together, but the essentials are now there. We're on the home straight with this car. It's one of the fiberglass 308s, one of the 158 from memory right-hand drive, or 114. Anyway, it's 100 and something. Right-hand drive fiberglass 308s built. And yeah, really nice car to drive, actually. Talking of nice cars to drive, we come on to this car here, Lamborghini Miura, which we did a total ground-up restoration on in here, which we finished about 4 or 5 years ago. And it was a complete rotisserie, bare metal, lust nut and bolt job. The car's been effectively in storage due to COVID and other things. So what we've done is we've got the car's been delivered to us in a covered trailer, of course. And it's got a very strange running problem, this car. I've been out in it and driven it, and it's spitting back through the carburetors, even though we've cleaned the fuel system, we've treated all that. It's just when it's driving. It's a very strange fault, so we're going to be looking into that. Again, we might do a dedicated episode. We've been doing a lot on Miuras recently. In fact, while I'm on the subject of Miuras, the German yellow Miura from the Black Forest is away being painted. That will be back soon. And also again, through the wonders of technology, the Miura that James was doing all the metalwork on has gone away to the paint shop now. So it's amazing how quickly these things can happen, all within one video. Well, this is another incredibly interesting car we've got here. This is the 5th ever production Lamborghini. Some people have been watching the videos for quite a while will remember this was a burgundy metallic, and it was basically a good car, but I mean, this car is not worth an inconsiderable amount of money, and the new owners wanted it in really, really good condition. So we've ended up doing virtually a complete restoration on it. 5th ever production Lamborghini. It's chassis number 109 after 4 pre-production prototypes. So this was one of the first Lamborghinis ever. And Tony has done a wonderful job of repainting this in its original Azzurro Metallizzato, the original blue metallic paint, which was a Fiat colour from the The year the car was built, 1964. So it's looking absolutely magnificent, I have to say. And Leon and Pete in particular have been doing work on this of late. So I'm going to just touch base with them and see where we're up to. It's really within shouting distance of being finished, this car now. Well, one of our newest recruits is Leon, another youngster. Leon, what have you been doing on this car?
So recently, the car's had some bodywork repairs done to it.
Yep.
So as we were trying to get the fuel tanks in, the original fuel tank on this side wouldn't quite fit as it fits into this gap here. So what we had to do is we had to take an airfoil and slightly cut around the original hole just to make it so it fits nice and snug. With there comes, of course, little alterations here and there, the transfer pipe, just to make sure everything fits.
Right, okay. Well, this is the beauty of hand-built, or the virtue, or the disadvantage, or whatever, delete is appropriate, of hand-built cars. Because it's had a new quarter section, as you say, on the bodywork, if it's a slightly different profile, the tank won't necessarily, I mean, you know, in extreme cases, we actually couldn't physically get the fuel tank in there, but fortunately it's fairly minor. The other thing is that on these cars, the bumpers are actually slightly oversized as they are pressed. Yeah. And then because the cars are so hand-built, the corner of the bodywork there, the bumper is actually ground to size before it's chrome plated and before it's fitted to the car, so they can get the right profile of the corner. Otherwise the bumper doesn't match. So fortunately the tin bashing was minimal by the sounds of it, but that's all part of, you know, it's not just like a modern car where you get a bit and, you know, diagnose the problem on a laptop and get a replacement part and fit it. But seems like you're enjoying it. You know?
Oh, of course, yeah. I don't mind getting my hands dirty. I find it quite fun.
Good. Well, you're in the right place.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you very much, Leon.
No worries.
Well, Pete, you've been having hours of fun with this, haven't you?
Many hours, yes.
This is again, it's the sharp end of hand-built cars, because it's not just a question of multi-plugs and away you go, is it?
No, so not at all.
This has kept you. What have you been up to with this? I see it's finished pretty well, isn't it?
It is pretty well, Ian. Yeah. Well, as we know, it was a bare shell when we started to put it back together. So the wiring loom was completely out. So we made some repairs to that, pretty minor, but the rest of it was in good condition. And then it's a case of installing it into the car, and then bit by bit putting the dash in and the clocks and the switches, making repairs as you go along, because they didn't all work. So we've had to dismantle some of the switches.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You know, the contacts oxidised with lack of use, so you've got to dismantle them and clean them up, put them back together. And then it's a case of testing all the circuits just to make sure they all work, which they now do, you know. You've got to fault find as you go along. But
it's worth stressing that the loom was absolutely fine. It was okay.
Oh, it was in good condition, yeah, just a bit grubby in places. So we haven't had to do anything too drastic to it, just where it's visible in the engine bay. Just make it look nice, really, and make sure everything's in the right place and working as it should.
This is Craig's handiwork, this beautiful padded leather, but this engine turning is exquisite on the dashboard, isn't it? And this steering wheel, I mean, they're just beautiful.
It's a lovely car. Yeah,
and these window switches are the same as an Aston Martin DB5, which, of course, Italian coach builders.
Yeah.
Very similar, Touring of Milan, originally, their influence. But that's great. So is it electrically working as a car now?
Yeah, basically? It is. Yeah. We're yet to run the engine because we're just finishing off plumbing the fuel system in and fitting the exhaust system. But yeah, within the next few days we'll be ready to try and fire it up. So, but everything else is working. Yeah, it's all good.
Brilliant.
It's all good.
Fantastic. Oh, well, that's real progress.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Very welcome.
Well, this video wouldn't be complete without a road test. And one car that has been with us is Harry's Espada. It's made a trip back for various bits and pieces now that the engine's run in. So we're going to take that out for a run. Well, this Espada is sort of, I could almost call it old faithful, really, because it's been quite a journey with this car and myself. I sold this car to Harry 9 years ago now, something like that. maybe a bit more, and he approached me on the Lamborghini Club stand one day and said, would you please rebuild the engine on my Espada? And I was very happy and very honoured to accept that invitation. And of course, Harry's extremely successful YouTube channel actually spawned, you know, I became son of Harry Metcalfe, really, and Harry's Garage. And if you haven't subscribed to his channel, the least I can do is mention him and say, please do look at Harry's YouTube channel, because it's brilliant. But because of all that, here we are in the Espada, and we've just had it in for another bout of work. It had a problem with the fuel system. The little gauze filters in the tanks were blocked just with debris over a period of years. And we also had a problem with the ignition system. We've had to do some fault finding on that around ignition coils, and we've actually fitted a new rotor arm. There's the old one. And but the result is, now that the engine is running, we've changed the oil, we've got rid of the running in oil, this car is absolutely flying with those new pistons in, those higher quality forged pistons. The other thing we have done on this is overhauled the shock absorbers, and made sure the springs were the right tempering, because the car was floating quite a bit. It wasn't sitting on the road too well, and understandably Harry was unhappy with that, so we've had all that done. The car is now sitting on the road, very nice, good ride handling compromise, as Espadas have. And it's there is a further bit of my personal history with Espadas, because it was an Espada that originally got me into exotic cars, if you will. At the age of 12, I heard one pass the family home, when I obviously lived with my parents as a pre-teen, and one drove past the house, an Espada, which I ended up buying many years later from a customer. But it was that inspired me to start working on Italian Exotica, and that was at the age of 12. So Espadas are very close to my heart, actually. Right, let's just open it up and see if it's the flying machine that it should be. Oh yes, beautiful. Lovely linear power delivery. Those new pistons doing their work. That was just great. Yeah, very, very happy with that. Certainly no problems there. The car is fast. It's picking up really well, even in the mid-range. The torque on this car is lovely. It really does want to go. So you've got to laugh at the irony. Here I am in a Lamborghini stuck behind a tractor. Oh yes, this is an interesting snapshot. Not an unexpected one either. On the Grand Tour they would stage manage something like this. On Tyrrell's Classic Workshop it just happens. There you go. Well, as I said earlier, we're going to be making a dedicated video about this car in view of the fact that it's a media star just at the moment, and also the Jensen or Jensen FF. So to keep up to date with things and keep in touch with what's going on, don't forget to follow on Instagram, don't forget to subscribe, and thanks very much for watching, and we'll be back with something else very soon.